What's up, comic and pop culture fans? This is James with Mint Hunter Comics, and today I'm giving you 10 books that I'm always asked if I have, but in reality, not only do I not have them, I don't even know who does have these. Low print run, error printings, hard to find books in general. These are books that are very popular, but everyone's looking for them, and there's not many out there. There's plenty of awesome entries that could have gone into this video, so drop them down in the comments down below. Do you have any of these? That would be pretty cool, a little bragging rights. Let's get into it with number one, any near mint newsstands of G.I Joe 150 through 155. That is, if you don't know, the last 5 issues of the G.I Joe Real American Hero Volume 1 main G.I Joe series. I picked a couple up recently, and they were like 9.6, 9.8 contenders, and I knew that it was something, but the amount of messages that I got really showed me that, what's going on here? A little further research showed that just direct editions start at $50 if they are true near mint to mint. When you have newsstands of really scarce stuff like that, we're talking like 100 starting. And I know this because a friend of mine who collects solely newsstands called me up and he was like, I'll take all of them for 100 a piece. I was like, whoa. I thought these were going to be like maybe $15, $20 books. What are you talking about? He educated me and I began to learn that, wow, they are really legitimately hard to come by, especially in high grade, especially for newsstands in high grade is really tough. If you're talking like 9.8s of this stuff, it can be anywhere from $300 to $1,000, depending on if you got the direct edition or the newsstands. Frickin' G.I Joe 150 to 155. Watch out, man. If you have potential 9.8 candidates, might want to do something with them. Next is going to be Cherry Poptart. So this is Good Girl Mature Books meets an Archie inspiration. Obviously, this is going to sell. And the fact that it's not even new. This is now vintage, basically Archie porn. Let's call it what it is, right? The funny thing is, issue number 1, very popular, Cherry Poptart number 1, scarce, but you can actually find them. It's going to cost you probably $200 or more to find a nice, gradable candidate right there. And I have to also tell you that it's $500 to $1,000 in a 9.8. By the way, only 10 9.8s exist. But me personally, there's like 20-some issues of this. I actually think the later issues, while not as valuable, maybe should be. They're incredibly even more scarce because people pick up number 1s. Later issues get tossed to the side. Later issues of Cherry Poptart are just as frickin' valuable, man. And I never have them. I never ever know who does have them. They're tricky. Next up is going to be Legend of Zelda number 1. There's a couple of these. There's a 1990 and a 1991. The only difference is a slight price tag, but I'm talking about the first one, 1990, first Link and Zelda in comics, but mainly the no price tag variant. It was a rarer kind of oddity, obviously error of the 1990 Legend of Zelda number 1. But people always ask if I have that copy and do I have it in any grade. First of all, no, I do not. And I really don't know whoever does. That is not a simple one to find. Hell, I never even find a 1990 Legend of Zelda number 1. This is a book that's going to run you raw $200 to like $500 if you do find it, depending on the raw condition. Now, imagine the fact that a 9.8 of just the 1990 is $1,200. Can you imagine what the non-price variant of that goes for? I don't know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000? Who knows? Really tough price variant right there. And no, I don't have it. And I don't know who does. Oh boy, I get asked about this kind of a lot too. Hey, do you have a Venom Lethal Protector 1 black background? No, I do not. Kindly point me in the direction of someone who might, because I will want that. But for my PC, not to resell. That's a cool book, man. This is an error printing once again, this time on the classic Lethal Protector number 1 Mark Bagley awesomeness. There's a couple other error printings. There's a white one. There's also a retailer gold one that came out at the time, but we're talking about the error variant the black cover. There's even a black newsstand as well. Craziness. No, I don't have it, and the reason why I don't have it is if you have a perfect copy raw, it's about $2,000. So, wow, pretty awesome. If you do have a 9.8, you might just have $6,000 in your pocket. Believe it or not, this book famously has a CGC Gem Mint 10. It is the black edition. It sold for way low, what you would think, like 15 years ago. And if it were to sell again today, I'm sure it would be crazy high. Literally any near mint Spawn between 2005 and 2015. This is another one of those ones where I knew there was some value to it because I knew it was lower print count, but I just didn't know how much. Turns out the worst one of them starts at like 15 bucks. If you got anything within those years. If it is like near mint to mint, this is what we're talking about. But many of them can go all the way up to $100, even $200. And this is like non-keys we're talking about. This is just tough to find, low print count stuff. Pretty crazy. If you do find 9.8 slabbed up versions of some of these, due to rarity, they could be $100, they could be $600. It gets pretty wild. Just a lot of people kind of fell off of Spawn. And Spawn popularity actually went up again. But there was a decade where Spawn was down to even almost down to 10,000 copies sold. If you ever find Spawn, it's like always the first 50 issues. But freaking like 150 to 250, it's not easy, man. Easier than some on this list, but still not so easy. Let's talk about another rare printing here. This is going to be Incredible Hulk 377, most commonly and popularly known as the first Professor Hulk. This was a heavily printed one for the first print, and even the second print does have some nice value, but it's this frickin' third print, and the reason, it was like 4 years later they printed this. It was kind of odd. It was not immediately after. And it was printed to a very low print count. I even heard a rumor one time that some were like lost at sea or something. I don't know. All I know is there's only 12 9.8s that exist. Near mint of this is going to be $300. It's recognizable for a slight different color. Like you'll be able to tell if it is a third print or not. But I mean, the 9.8, it's between $5,000 and $9,000. And it's, when you think about how there's maybe less than 2,000 of them out there and there's only 12, it kind of makes sense. But the only one I've ever seen wasn't even mine. I got a text from a buddy who said he bought a collection in bulk and that happened to be in there. It's very rare and it certainly is never near mint. Finding that one is notoriously always mid-grade or lower. So, wow. How about Man of Steel 18, first appearance of Doomsday? Of course, we're talking about that DC Universe logo variant. You guys know I've made a few videos now getting collections, getting things graded, talking about the importance of the DC Universe logo variant. These things came in Toys R Us packs, Kmart packs, most popularly the Toys R Us packs, though, in the 90s. And it was specifically and only DC Comics. And there's just some comics out there that are pretty darn rare. And there's about like 10 of them that fall into like really rare category. One of the ones is Man of Steel 18. This is a popular one because obviously it just happens to be a key too. First Doomsday. I have had the pleasure of scoring a 9.8 on a CBCS and a 9.8 on a CGC. So I'm 2 for 2 on this book. And you know what? A 9.8 sells for like $500. So it ain't nothing. But now there are 78 of them that exist. So it's not like that's a lot, but by any means, but 78 9.8s, it's getting a little higher. Still, you should be warned, there are ones out there that are even more rare, but I'm not going to share my secrets. Well, maybe some. Action Comics 686 is more valuable. Just saying. Okay, static, like as in Static Shock. Static number 1s, you find them. Static number 2s, you find them. All the way up to 20, you can find these things. Right around 20 is when, I don't know, people lost interest. Maybe the Marvel implosion affected DC Comics at the time, but definitely the second half of the Static run is significantly lower print count. People fell off, and it's too bad because I think the covers got better. and the story got better. So there's a lot of ones that are very desirable, but it's this issue 45, the final issue, cover by Mobius. By the way, I have no idea how to pronounce that. Morbius? I don't know. It's a $300 raw if you can find it near mint, but it's $600 to $700 if you have a 9.8 of this thing. There are 34 copies that exist in a 9.8, and honestly, this and the 10 issues that preceded it, they are actually scarce. They are rare. To find them in that perfect condition is not easy. Not by any means. Second to last is going to be one that hurts me personally, and it's freaking Sonic the Hedgehog. Of course, we're talking about Archie, issues 100 through 200. So it's kind of like Spawn. Again, the first 50, maybe even the first 100 issues, you can find. It's not the easiest to find 50 through 100, but you definitely can. They're out there. It's 100 through 200. Print counts got so low that there were some that were even less than 4,000 printed. As you can imagine, me being a Sonic collector, that makes collecting this stuff kind of a nightmare. Oh, and by the way, it's never near mint. Forget it. Forget trying to find these in near mint. It kind of just doesn't happen. So you kind of just take what you can get. I'm something like 3 years now into trying to collect a full run of Archie Sonic, and wow, I'm having a hard time. Honestly, I think it's been even a full 12 months since I've even got another single issue in. That isn't a duplicate, that is. This stuff is really hard to find. I had someone come into the antique shop once in the last year, but unfortunately, the price was too high, and I had to pass, but maybe I shouldn't have. These Sonic issues are going to be the death of me, and to anyone else who collects Sonic, back off. Just kidding. Last but not least, this is probably my most asked book that I never will ever have, is a Dazzler #1 newsstand copy. I'm going to pause here to see if anyone gets the joke. I'll fill you in just a second. There is no newsstand copy. They don't exist. This was Marvel's first direct edition only comic. But I have some collectors at the antique shop and at claim sales that buy only newsstand copies of books. I've got like 5 or 6 guys that only buy newsstands. And they want to pick up a full run of Dazzler, and obviously they want to start with #1. Well, that's kind of tough when it doesn't exist, okay? It doesn't exist. There are a couple comics out there that only exist as direct editions. This is one of them. So it's kind of become like an inside joke sort of in the comic collecting hobby, where I can't tell which of the questions are serious and which not. Like, hey, do you have a Dazzler newsstand? That'll be the next huge scam. Warehouse found 1,000 copies of Dazzler 1 newsstand. It's just going to be like some dude cutting and pasting newsstand UPCs onto the spot on the cover. But other than getting an illegal bootleg fan-made thing, yes, this is direct only. So sorry. What are some comics on your wish list that you can't find even on the internet? They're so rare. As always, keep on hunting. Don't forget to like and comment on your way out. I'll see you at the next video.